Welcome to the Crypto Campfire.
First they're sour, then they're sweet. Mitch and the Professor, featuring special guest Janice and John McAfee.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Crypto Campfire podcast. This is the Professor.
And Mitch.
And today we're going to be talking with Janice and John McAfee. Before we start talking to them, let's grab that crypto news from the Crypto Gent.
Thanks, Professor. Hello, Crypto Campfire listeners, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News with the Crypto Gent. Chain Analysis reportedly cut 39 jobs aiming to boost profit margins, and trading app the Kraken Futures is now available on iOS and Android. That's the Cryptocurrency News in a flash with the Crypto Gent. So it's back to you, gentlemen, Professor and Mitch.
Thanks a lot, Crypto Gent. So Mitch, how's your day going?
Going good. I'm doing a little crown molding, doing a little under cabinet lighting molding and some base and stuff in a showroom for a friend of mine's cabinetry. So
Nice.
Yeah, so I figured it'd give me something to do today, and now we're doing this amazing podcast. So yeah, it's a good day.
It's a good day. It's going to be a good weekend, I have a feeling. The
Yeah.
sun's coming out, snow's starting to melt a little bit. It's just got the feeling of a good weekend.
It had a good start so far.
Oh yeah, it's been good so far. I can't complain. So I really want to talk. There's a lot I want to talk about, but let's just get started on the whole thing before we dig in too deep. Otherwise, we'll end up in a rabbit hole at the beginning. So,
Okay.
Janice, John, welcome to the show. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hey, thank
We're
you
good. How are you?
Thank you very much.
It's good to talk to you again. We've hit Los Angeles and we hit Las Vegas just over the past month, and it's nice to be settled back down and recording podcasts again and not running around all the time.
Well, it must be nice to be able to run around America. It's my favorite country.
Yes.
And we have been unable to do that for the better part of a year. So I envy you.
Yeah, it's been hell for you guys. I'm very happy to be able to do that, and I wish you guys could, and I hope that changes in the near future, but obviously it sounds like it's going to be a much longer fight than it probably should be. First time we talked to you, you were in the Bahamas. The second time you were in Cuba, without disclosing too much. Where are you guys at right now?
But we can't tell you where we're at, really. I mean, ever since we got out of jail in the Dominican Republic, we have been in an undisclosed location. So, but we're in a nice place, I'll tell you that.
Good. That's all that matters. As long as you guys have found a place that's you're not, well, I mean, technically on the run, but not being actively chased.
No,
We'll sit down for a
we're
minute.
definitely not being actively chased. This is probably the most secure facility that we have ever been in, or certainly I've ever been in.
Good. Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Let's talk. I want to talk real quick about the DEX. I'm just kind of curious. How's that going? I know it's been out for a few months now, at least. You got a lot of new tokens added. How's the DEX running for you?
It's going really good. I mean, in terms of usability, I mean, to be frank with you, it's not very usable. Right? It's a beta version, and we only have the Ethereum blockchain on it now. That's ERC20s to ERC40. Still, we have got over 1,000 coins on that blockchain listed. We're any moment going to include Tron. We had it working on the test net. We moved it over to the main net, and then, suddenly things fell apart. So hopefully, within a matter of hours, we'll have Tron added. First of the year, we'll have EOS, Binance, and Neo. And then the first quarter next year, it'll get real when we have the cross-chain transaction. That is, transactions from Tron to Neo, from EOS to Ethereum, and so on. The idea behind it, we're not trying to make a fortune here. In fact, we're really not trying to make anything. The idea is to create an exchange which could not be shut down. Because that is the risk of cryptocurrency right now. China proved its power 2 years ago by shutting down every exchange in China within 24 hours. How did they do that? Well, they knew where the exchange was, who was running it, where the data was, where the electricity came in. They could have shut it down in 100 ways. But what we have done can't be shut down. We don't ask any information. We don't want to know your name. We don't keep anybody's money or tokens. We never touch them. We don't know what country you're coming from, nor do we care. If you want to list a token, instead of like on Binance paying anywhere from $75,000 to $200,000, it's free. We have a button at the top of the page. You list it yourself. Press the add token, put the technical specs of the token, and you're listed. We charge no maker fees. We only charge 0.25% on taker fees, and that is barely going to fund our development. Basically, what I've done is, poke a stick in the eye of the SEC and the IRS. Now they're already pissed off, and I hope they don't lay hands on me until at least we have this thing fully functional in product release in the second quarter of next year. Because even now they can't shut it down. It's all smart contract logic on the blockchain. I'm sorry, I put it there. Can't be changed, folks. It's
nothing you can do about it.
Nothing I can do about it. And we are distributed because we have portals. We have over 20 portals, almost 30 now, which are other domains all around the world that are running our software. It's open source, both for the portal and for the smart contracts. You can create the exchange yourself, or we'll do it for you for $395 and put your logo and so on. And for that, you get 0.05% of the transaction. It's motivated enough people so far, and if we have over 100 portals, we're not going to be shut down. If the U.S. government takes away McAfeeDex.com as my domain, well, I could care less. We will have, by the end of next year, maybe 1,000 portals. Take my domain, it will not matter. Go through another portal.
That's the beauty of a truly distributed system. Regardless of whether it's an exchange or whether it's any other type of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, just straight up. There's nothing that anybody can do about it. It's out there. It's fully distributed, and it lives. And that's it.
Yeah. And so if they ever do lay hands on me, which I hope they don't, I'll just say, it never occurred to me that you might want access to any of this stuff. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's too late now, though. I'll tell you what, SEC, I'll build an exchange for you. How's that?
I like it. SEC DEX. Off we go.
That's so awesome. So this is just basically an evolution of crypto for you guys now, isn't it? Getting into this DEX exchange and so forth.
Well, absolutely. I believe, okay, a lot of people have missed a very important point. The blockchain is the first world-changing technology, and I do believe it is world-changing. That has not, in the past 100 years, that has not come from the bowels of some military program or some other government program, or from Samsung or General Electric or some Monsanto. No, it came from the people, for heaven's sake. We know the creators. The name of Satoshi is not important. That's just the dude that wrote the paper. They probably drew straws. Who cares? But they were not part of an organized institution, either governmental or corporate. It came from the people. If we keep it with the people, it will give us tremendous power to free ourselves from the overburdened governments of this world, from the financial institutions that control the currency that you have to use.
Exactly. I think that this is the biggest, that right there is the biggest motive for me for the last year, maybe a little bit longer. When I first got into crypto, it was about finances, and it was about, securing my financial future, because my pension wasn't going to be there when I go to retire in a few years. So I that's what brought me into crypto. But since being here, it's all about this movement for humanity, this movement for freedom to allow us to control our own financial future and, separate ourselves from, what used to be, we were a governed people, but now we're more of a controlled people because of how the government has lost sight of, the separation between control and governing.
Well, we've become children. Basically, the government decides what is best for us and leads us along that path, which it believes is best for us. So good God Almighty, do you realize this is an inversion of the original intent of our Constitution, which was the government is the servant of the people. We tell the government, build the friggin' roads, get us a standing army, all of the things that we're just too damn lazy to do ourselves. Do it for us, and we will pay you a decent salary. Well, it's changed. Now, government looks at us as the children, the servants, the slaves, those which must be controlled and contained, because who knows, we, the citizens, might be the problem. We might be the criminals. And that's why we have a surveillance state that monitors everybody. Everybody. Please God, I know what I'm talking about. In computer security, if nothing else, I at least have some experience. I'm telling you now, you have no privacy, people. That the government is watching everything you do, from cameras on street corners in every urban area to software that infiltrates your smartphones. And when you turn them off, they don't really turn off, they just look like it. And they're still listening, they're still watching, monitoring your email, your social media. This is what has happened, and this is what has to stop, because it is the intelligence community. Let me put that in quotes, please. Community. That truly controls this country.
So Janice, I want to talk to you about something real quick that we talked about on the first podcast. The Coin Bros film session, when they were recording the McAfee Effect music video.
Yes.
I remember asking you what that experience was like, and how it went. And I remember you telling us that you guys gave them like the total shakedown, like your security team had them all freaking out. And
yes.
And I love that story so much. At Los Angeles at CEX about 3 weeks ago, we were talking to the guys from TuneTrade, I think was the name of their company, and
yes,
started talking to them, and the Coin Bros came up, and I was like, oh, you guys know the Coin Bros? We gotta ask the story, and apparently they were actually there too, which I didn't realize at the time. I was like, wait, so hold on, is this legit? Like, did you show up at the house and get like the full shakedown, or were they exaggerating a little bit for the show? And they're like, no, we were scared to death. It was great.
Well, Janice can tell you about that. I mean,
it was so much fun.
Yeah, they basically invaded the house. And, Janice did very well. Tell about that experience, maybe.
It was a lot of fun. Well, no, we told them about it last time, but it was so much fun. The first, because we were on high alert anyway. We had some security breaches. People driving around our house, around our neighborhood, suspiciously. So we were already kind of on high alert. So it just kind of added to the extra, not almost strip search that we gave.
That's awesome.
Cavity search.
Fairly intense.
That was great. You can see a little bit of the fear returning in their eyes when they were telling the story. He's like, should we go back?
I don't think they were really sure that we were joking once we told them, oh no, we're just, joking around. I don't think they really believed us though.
Yeah. I think they were thinking about some movies they had seen or something maybe, and just, they knew that they were toast.
They were very well behaved for the first half hour.
I bet you they were.
Yeah.
How'd that?
Yeah, then John got all drunk.
Half hour.
We all passed out. We all drunk, I think, like way into the middle of the night.
Yeah,
I think it was almost
we
morning.
all passed out before 5 in the morning that night they were here.
Yeah.
That's
We were
crazy.
supposed to get to work on the video, but it didn't happen for at least 2 days.
That's the experience, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
it is. The McAfee effect.
There you go. It really encapsulated it all in once. That's for sure.
Have you guys seen on Twitter this movement towards adoption by a lot of us as far as like the planting of seeds? Have you guys seen that at all?
No, not at all. Tell me about it.
Okay, so RedKatLife is a friend of ours, and she used to put out little like business card type things with QR codes on them. And if you scan the QR code, it would explain what Bitcoin was, or it would take you to like the Litecoin Foundation if it was a Litecoin seed card. And this has since evolved, and now there's quite a few people actually doing this. Change Angel, are you guys aware of Change Angel?
No.
Okay, so Change Angel is a, I want to say what are they, Professor? They
would call themselves a swap exchange for the social good. So it's kind of like Shapeshift as far as the functionality, but they do a lot of work for charity. A lot of their profits go to charity. So
they seen this thing happening, right? And one of the people that are involved with us is Paulie P. And he said, what would be really cool would be to have a map that we could mark where we planted these seeds. So Change Angel created this interactive map. And if you go to changeangel.io, you can see this map, and you can see all of the markers from all of the people that have planted these seeds throughout the world. And this movement probably started about a month ago, I would say now. And it's incredible how much of the map is just loaded with these little symbols of Bitcoin or symbols of Litecoin or Digibyte by the community. And so it's like a grassroots spread of adoption and pass along information type stuff. And it's really creative. And you guys, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, at the end of this interview, please send me a link and we'll both do that immediately.
Heck yeah. So it's been a positive thing that really allows the community to come together for the sole purpose of spreading adoption and information to people that aren't aware. And I'm really, really empowered by it, if that makes any sense.
Well, it does. But I'd like to raise a caution flag here.
Sure.
What happens to most new users is they're introduced to the exchange of cryptocurrencies as a means of wealth creation. And I think this is the totally wrong approach. We need to introduce people to crypto because of the functionality of crypto. I mean, the ability, for example, your wallet is your bank. I mean, if I have a decent crypto wallet, or if I don't have one, I've got to go to the bank if I want to wire money to a foreign country or a different state, fill out forms, get an approval. I'm monitored during this process, obviously. The Fed's are going to look at it. And then I go home. If you have a wallet, that is your bank. You have the wallet address of the money that you owe someone, and in 20 seconds you're done and you're back to watching TV. And depending upon the cryptocurrency you're using, it's anywhere from 10 seconds to 10 minutes, or a little more in some cases. The person has their money. I mean, if they understand that utility, if they understand that using privacy coins with distributed exchanges frees you from any observing authority, leaves you from the government's not going to see what you're doing. No one's going to see what you're doing. This is what scares governments, because people being people, if, for example, your entire income is through cryptocurrency and you're using privacy coins, no one knows what your income is.
Exactly.
Neither should they. I mean, please God, our Constitution explicitly prohibits income taxes. And yet in 1913, for the first time, we had income taxes. Well, I'm sorry, it's unconstitutional. The sweat of your brow belongs to you. Your labor and the fruits of it are yours, not the government's. And if you have to work 4 months out of the year for the government, that's slavery. I'm sorry. So I go out and tell people, you don't want to pay taxes, or you don't believe in taxes, or don't pay them. Use cryptocurrency and privacy coins. Now, that's one of the reasons we're in hiding. No, please God, be real, people. Be real.
Yeah.
I speak on national stages about this. I pepper my Twitter posts with this same message. Of course, governments are angry at me.
That's kind of the second part to what we do. Like when we're, let's say when we were in Vegas or even LA, every Uber driver that I've sat behind is now aware of cryptocurrencies and the potential to be able to set up a wallet and have his QR code in his car and be able to receive tips in cryptocurrency as a means to get him started.
Yes.
So, you know, and to be your own bank, because we like to talk about, okay, so a lot of the people that that the drivers are from different countries. So one of the questions we ask is like, okay, so do you send money back home? And they're like, well, yeah. And how do you do that? Well, we use Western Union. Well, that's kind of pricey. You know, if you sent cryptocurrencies, your fees would be extremely smaller and it would be a lot faster for you to do so. So it sparks a lot of interest from them in that regard. And that's another thing that helps kind of cement the case, so to speak, and allow them to, or intrigue them to want to learn more.
Well, yeah, plus Western Union and the others like it, Walmart's money transfer, and all of these are very dodgy in that they will decline many of the requests if they don't understand why you're sending the money or how you know the person.
Right.
They are a centralized organization responsible to the government. Well, decentralization takes that responsibility away. It's your responsibility for your money, and no one's watching.
Exactly. And there's, you know, to add on to what Mitch said, another thing that we really believe in is, you know, like you say, it's not just about the exchange of cryptocurrencies, and it's not even just about monetary value. We like to look at it as the technology that it is and the other types of use cases that can be served by a blockchain that have nothing to do with money. So one of the things that we're doing also with those seed cards is we actually made a Crypto Campfire seed card, and we're building a page on our website that's going to have just a bunch of material. It's going to start with a video. We've actually got a lot of people from the community that have recorded short clips saying, welcome to crypto. We're just going to have like a quick intro video, and it's going to talk a lot about like what blockchain is and the potential use cases and the other things that it can do other than just speculation and investment.
That's exactly the point.
Yes. Okay, so I want to play devil's advocate here, just a little bit. Sure. In regards to speaking about Libra. Okay, so Libra, I know everyone hates it. It's as John said, an abomination to the original purpose of what the blockchain and crypto is here to offer us. But wouldn't you think, or wouldn't you say that it would be a lot easier for newbies to use Libra as an on-ramp into this space, because I'm sure will be a whole lot user-friendlier than the current coins that we have out now with these long keys, and if it's just hooked up to their Facebook account and all they have to do is just work it like Facebook works essentially, and it just makes it convenient and easy. And so I'm just wondering, is something like a Libra, is that inevitable in this space? Like, can we function, or can we avoid sort of that governmental kind of centralized big power player coming into this space and kind of taking over?
I mean, I personally think that something like Libra is inevitable in the long term. One thing that I would like to comment on is that Libra is the system that they were building, or trying to build, I should say, is so much more than just a payment mechanism through Facebook. So like if Facebook were to build a wallet into their Facebook Messenger, that would do exactly what you're talking about. And that would be really beneficial to crypto, because it would start getting people introduced to the idea, but it would also be extremely user-friendly, like you were saying, because they could just go in there like they can now with Facebook Pay or whatever they call it and send somebody money. It would be super easy. They wouldn't have to mess with private keys. But Libra, the concept of it is like a government, right? They call it the Libra Council, and it's all of these big entities. And essentially it was going to be a DAO, a big, huge distributed autonomous organization, and really could have potentially positioned itself into being like, and I know this sounds crazy and sci-fi-ish, but like a new government.
Yeah, absolutely, because Facebook would be the controller of the new currency.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have a system that's used widely, you have power.
This is why there is government backlash, and nevertheless, I think that the government had, their backlash is against the wrong opponent. I mean, because really, the government would simply just get in bed with Facebook and say, okay, well, do your thing, but we want all the information and access to it, which is the problem. Because Libra is not, it's the reverse of a privacy coin. It's a coin that facilitates Facebook for including all of your financial data into what they already have, which is who your friends are, where you are located, and what you're buying, what movies you see. So no, it's a horror. It's a horror. And maybe as an on-ramp, I don't know. I do know that crypto now is a grassroots movement, and grassroots movements never fail. So if people do get onboarded onto Libra, they will eventually get the word, listen, this is putting one more bar in the cage of your prison, and it's the financial bar.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. When Libra first talked about coming out, it made my skin crawl. I mean, I tried to, back in the day and even today with, mafia and stuff like that, you want to leave the family, you can't leave the family, right? You're in for life. And that's kind of how I felt with Facebook, because I couldn't delete none of my accounts. I mean, they won't let you go. And it's like, what's going on here?
And even when you do finally figure out how to delete your accounts, you know that your shit's not deleted.
Yes.
Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
So I was like, kind of, face palming, going, oh my God, this really can't happen. It really can't. And I mean, fortunately, there was a lot of stink about it. Are they still going to do it? Probably. And the only thing I can hope for is that people actually see that it's just another form of centralized control over their information and their finances. So,
Yes.
As long as people can see that and realize it, and I think that's a big problem, is that the information that the average person sees that's not in this space is information that the governments and the people that want to maintain control make sure that they see, and not the truth. And that to me is something to really fight for and let people know really what's going on. Bring them real information.
Well, absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to do. Doing that, however, is both risky
Yes.
and dangerous, because we are up against a power structure that has been ingrained over 75 years in America, and the covert agencies that I believe truly run America, because they're the ones who inform everybody. And what do they inform them of? Whatever they like. And whatever they don't like, need to know. You think presidents know everything? Bullshit. If we had aliens somewhere on a military base, presidents would be the last people to know. They come into office for 4 years and they're gone. Good Lord, they don't have a need to know. So we're looking at things the wrong way. We're worrying about personalities, Trump versus Clinton versus whatever. Who cares? Because whoever sits in that chair, nothing changes. Seriously,
right?
Look at the past 50 years. I mean, Obama did the best job of actually implementing what he promised, which is Obamacare. And what happened? It was dismantled by the next administration. So nothing changes. And this is the play, the charade that our intelligence community puts on to keep us entertained and focused on things which really do not matter and that we cannot change, rather than on
smoke
truth, right? Rather than on the truth of how our country's run.
Oh, totally agree. And there was a story, and this is funny. You might enjoy this. There was a gentleman that told this story when I was in Vegas, and he said how he was out hunting zebras, and he was on this big game hunt, and he shot and wounded the zebra from quite a distance. And so they tracked it, and he got another shot at it. He hit it like 2 or 3 times, and I think finally caught up to this thing. And, the zebra is laying there and it's still fighting for all it has for survival, right? Because I guess they're really mean creatures. Anyway, so this thing's still continuing to fight. And the analogy was about the power structures of the world and the governments that hold the power are going to continue to fight all the way to the death, because we are threatening their livelihood.
Well, we're threatening their very survival. It's their survival that we're threatening. And this is why the reactions are going to get more and more stringent and more severe. China shutting down all exchanges. India about to declare all cryptocurrencies illegal. You can't own them, you can't transact business in them, you can't exchange them. That's not going to stop anything, though. You need to understand, people, that a law that cannot be enforced is no law at all. You see it with drugs. I mean, I know many people who smoke weed, and many of them in locations where weed is illegal. Does it stop them because it's illegal? No. You can't stop people's personal preferences that they exercise or can exercise in the privacy of their homes. And I think cryptocurrency is one of those.
So, Janice, I'm kind of curious. John just said China, and it just threw my head to this place. I want to know what your thought is on China's more recent acceptance, if you will, of cryptocurrencies and sort of acknowledging their importance.
I think everyone should be very afraid of that, because as John was first speaking about China, John was going to be speaking at a conference in Beijing, and they had to move the conference at the last minute to Hong Kong because China had banned ICOs and the mention of even talking about ICOs. And so just for them to have that power to just shut everything down and for us to have to move in that short amount of time, that just showed their power and their fear of it. And so now that they're all of a sudden accepting it, and then when you think about the government, our government not wanting to work with Libra, it just makes you wonder, okay, is China now going to Libra? And is China going to try to use whatever Libra's technology is that they have, because we're not using it? Or what are they possibly going to try to come up with to beat everyone to the punch?
Yeah, well, let's be frank about it. I think that Libra, when you talk about the technology, I mean, that is a trivial thing to duplicate for any large company, and certainly for a government. I think China will build its own. And that's, I don't know, 1 billion adults using potentially the Chinese currency as cryptocurrency. And that's going to be some powerful shit. And I promise you that whatever does come out of China in terms of cryptocurrency is not going to be distributed.
No, exactly. It's, in my opinion, definitely a power move. Janice, I think you're totally right in saying that people should be cautious and leery of it. I mean, why else would they try to ban everything and then all of a sudden say it's okay, right? They're going to try to use, like you said, and make their own so that they can have their hand in it.
Absolutely. We have time for one more question, my friends.
Sounds great. This is a question for both of you. What is your favorite fast food cheeseburger?
Oh, In-N-Out.
In-N-Out? That's a good one.
I love it. A double.
Mine too. In-N-Out burger is the bomb.
It's great. Animal style.
And it is definitely fast food. So
it is.
The more power to those sons of bitches.
There's something so good about such a just cheap little crappy cheeseburger, but I love it.
Well, thank you so much for having us on, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us. We're looking forward to the next round.
All right. Thank you.
Good catch on your hunting.
Thank you. That was,
she's going to describe to me later how she envisions you catching it, right? maybe with bread and cheese, luring it, grabbing it by the nose. It'll be entertaining.
I just told it to behave. It followed me home. It was easy.
Nice.
All right. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Good night.
Bye.
That's always a good time with those two.
It is. I'm excited that we can share the seed movement with them. I think that'd be fun, and I think they'll like it.
I think so, and I think that he has a good point about trying to keep the focus away from like the monetary side, which is already a focus of ours anyway.
Right.
It's kind of a nice thing knowing that what we're thinking about is kind of what other people are thinking about too, and that we're not sort of the only ones in this quest trying to bring light to the actual technology itself rather than the currency.
The technology and the movement, I think, the real purpose behind this.
Right. Well, yeah, because the technology is the movement, right?
Exactly. The technology is the movement, but the technology allows, you're right. I mean, the technology allows us to be able to live in that fashion of freedom.
Well, I see where you're going with that too. Like the technology is the movement that enables the movement of the community.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's this new technology that it's a movement on its own, but the community is like on their own movement to try and drive this technology forward. So, and it's only enabled by what this technology allows and makes possible. So it's kind of a cool little circle there, actually, now that you think about it.
It really is. It's its own ecosystem. And, not just the money side of things. The money side of things is just the thing that started it all. Look at all the other things you can do with blockchain, and not just about money. It's about transactions, and it's about decentralization. That to me, that's the biggest thing. I think decentralization is our biggest ally at this point, regardless of what anybody thinks.
Decentralization is everything. It's not even about it. I mean, in a big way, it's about the government, but in a big way, it's also not. It's just about having the ability to manage your own everything without having anybody else's hands in it, whether that's the government, whether that's the payment processor. It doesn't matter. It's just about being able to be in control yourself, finally.
Yep, exactly. No, this was a good podcast. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It's always interesting talking to those two. John is just such a character, and he makes a lot of sense, and that's what I think people lose sight of with all of the, I don't want to say controversy, but you know what I'm saying? All of the aura that surrounds him based on how information is put out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, 100%, because he's very extreme. He's very good at knowing how to capture people's attention.
Right.
Regardless of what it takes. If he has a message that he needs to get out, he'll get the fucking message out. And a lot of people are going to be offended by it, but the message gets out.
Yep, exactly.
And sometimes I think he just needs a laugh. So
yeah, but I mean, the more we talk to him, the more we talk to Janice and John, the deeper the sight or the vision is for us to see exactly where he's coming from. And that, to me, that's important. We're actually giving people a different side or a different verbiage from him towards us and towards them than what they normally see.
Right.
Definitely a good podcast today. I got about 3-4 more hours here, knock this job out, and then then I get to go home, and hopefully there's still some daylight left, and I can finish raking my leaves before it snows tomorrow.
It's already snowed here. There's no leaves. They're buried. I don't have a choice. But I was so thankful for that this morning when I went out and got my elk. Dragging it down a snow-covered road downhill was so much nicer than dragging it down gravel. So,
or even uphill.
Or even uphill in gravel, or uphill anywhere, period. I got pretty lucky in my positioning, so I can't complain. But
well, let me think. So that can actually be packed in dry ice and styrofoam and mailed, can it not?
It can.
I might. I've never had elk. You know that, right?
Really?
Really?
Well, we might have to do something about that.
I have never had elk. My wife hasn't either, so that would actually be really cool.
We can make that happen.
That would be sick.
I just happen to know a guy.
I know I just kind of invited myself to some of your elk, but
hey, I'm not going to complain. I like to share. I'll give you a little chunk of some good meat for steak or something, and then so I'm going to make some sausages, some smoked sausages.
Ooh.
So I'll make a extra one.
There you go. Wow, that sounds awesome. Congratulations, by the way. Yeah, I don't get to go hunting this year. Well, at least here. I might end up hunting out my neighbor's place, just a
little bit, just to have some fun.
Well, they shoot deer out of there every year, so
See, there you go.
Get some kind of freezer wrap for the freezer.
Exactly.
I gotta have my wild game for the winter. I don't think there's been, but actually I don't know that there's been but 1 year out of 17 or 18 that we haven't had venison in the freezer. So
those are not good years. This last year was one of those years for us. I was not successful last year. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it certainly sucked not having that good venison, because it's right. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I don't go hunting for trophies. So I shoot for meat. So I'm going for quality meat. So usually when I get something, it's pretty good, pretty tasty.
Well, you broke the string there, brother. That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to get back to it. Get this job done. And this was a good podcast. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad it worked out for us today. A little different doing it remotely with my phone, but I think it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. Audio came through all right. So
good deal. So guys, remember, if you want to use a crypto ATM or a Bitcoin ATM, do a search for coin flip ATMs in your area. They have the lowest fees. And I think the guys behind it are just some amazing stand-up guys. If you want to use an ATM, they're definitely the ones to look for.
And the URL is coinflip.tech. Daniel and Dustin, we got to meet a few of the other guys in Vegas as well, but we've had a little bit longer relationship with Daniel and Dustin. And Daniel was actually able to come out to St. Louis, and then we got to meet Dustin in Las Vegas. And of course, Daniel came out too. And it's just been really good to call them friends. They're awesome guys. They're fun to hang out with. Dustin, I'll be sending you some duct tape for Daniel when he gets out of control, so you can duct tape him to the wall like we talked about.
So he doesn't just disappear.
I'm going to need you to DM me your address, please. But yeah, guys, check it out. CoinFlip ATMs. They are literally now the #1 crypto ATM provider in the United States. They put out another one in Las Vegas while we were down there, and that put them into first place as having the most ATMs in the United States. So
that's so awesome.
They've got a map right on their homepage. Check it out, find one, and let us know what you think.
Heck yeah. All right, guys, have a good day. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining. We say it all the time. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have a voice. So thank you, the community, for following us. Thank you for sharing our stuff and just enjoying our podcast. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Take it easy.
Peace.